Hi everyone, today we've got a video that's based on the recently produced WasteMINZ report on the truth about plastic recycling. But we wanted to take you through some really interesting figures that came from the report, because there is a lot of confusion around recycling at the present time. So a lot of people think it's all just going to landfill. Some people think that it's just not even worth it. But it is definitely worth it. And I just want to cover a few really important messages that came out from this report just to share with you so you can make better decisions when you are recycling. First thing that was quite surprising is that 941 is the number of plastic containers that are coming out of each household in New Zealand every single year. So that's every household is putting out 941 bottles. 87% of those bottles are recyclable. So that means that there's quite a few that aren't recyclable. But the crazy part is that 41% of it is going to landfill and it should be being recycled. So a lot of that comes from confusion. So I want to take you through some really simple facts around recycling, and then take you through some of the products and how to make better decisions when you're making those purchasing choices at the supermarket. So some of the reasons why the recycling is not happening very well that were identified in the report were that there's a lot of confusion, as I just said before. There's a lot of non-recyclable products that, when you sort of look at it and you're like, is that or isn't it? A lot of it is also laziness, contamination and things like that, and there are some really bad packaging options around, which I actually learned quite a bit myself when I was reading the report. So let's go through what you can do about it and how to make those better decisions. So the most desirable plastic numbers at the present time are number 1 and number 2 plastic, and they come in lots of different forms. Now it's really important to know that number 1 plastic and number 2 plastic is only really relevant to bottles. If you've got kids' toys or things like that that have a number 1 or 2 on it, they're not recyclable. We're talking just bottles. So mostly just household bottles from the kitchen, bathroom and laundry are our recyclable options. So let's just have a look at these ones here. Now in the report, what I found quite interesting was there was a whole thing around the coloured bottles, and they referred to the LMP bottles because it's a brown plastic. It makes it really hard to recycle because most of the number 1 plastics are a clear plastic like that. So with the brown plastic, that's not desirable because if it gets in with the clear plastics, it's then got like a colour contamination going. So when you're looking at buying drinks, and this is just one thought, and if you drink LMP, which I love LMP, but if you're drinking LMP, instead of buying it in this bottle, which is, yes, it's a number 1, but I can't recycle this bottle very well, potentially look at making a different choice and purchase cans, because the cans can be recycled. Aluminium can be recycled over and over and over again into aluminium. Yes, it's got the cardboard around this bit, but then that can be recycled as well. So this to me makes more sense. It is a more recyclable option than this here. The other thing with the number 1 plastics, which is, we're still looking at these two, is they've also identified that it's really important to make sure that you take the neck tags and the labels off wherever possible. So if it's stuck on like this label on this water bottle, then that's not easy to get off. That's okay, but if it did have a rip tab, they would really like you to take that off, and also make sure the lids are off. So, because that's a different plastic and it's also coloured, and they want you to remove the neck tags. So if you do have a neck tag on there and you take it off, most important thing is when you take it off, you actually snip it, because then if it does end up, because this goes into the rubbish bin, but if the neck tag does end up in the landfill, and if just by chance it ends up in the ocean or around animals, if it's been cut, then it's not going to affect wildlife. Like it's not going to have something grow inside it and it strangle them. So cut the neck tags off. These bits here go into the rubbish bin, and then the bottle clean goes into the recycling bin. But just a note as well is contamination is a huge issue with recycling, and even a water bottle like this with the lid on and just water inside it, that is classified as being contaminated because it's not clean. It must be clean. Also, if you've got a milk bottle, and this is a number 2 plastic, and if it's got like off milk at the bottom because you haven't quite rinsed it out properly, then that would be classified as contaminated as well. So this is our number 2, so we would take the lid off, make sure it's well rinsed, and then this can go in the recycling bin, lid goes in the rubbish bin. You do have to check with your councils because some of the councils do have like lids on, but as I understand, they're trying to standardise it because it's so confusing around the country. They're trying to standardise the way that recycling is presented everywhere. So it sounds like it's going to be lids off and then the tags removed. And tags removed just so that you're aware, is like bottles like this here, they actually have a thing that says please remove the sleeve prior to recycling. So you literally would just rip that off, because if the sleeve is on, what happens is it can't be identified very well. It may think, the machine may think it's dirty, but it also it inhibits it being recycled. So they really want this to be taken off, and when you've finished your bottle, that comes off, that goes in the that goes in the rubbish bin, and then your clean bottle without the lid goes into the recycling bin. So that's a couple of basics around our bottles, but it doesn't stop there. It gets so confusing when you're looking in the supermarket and you're buying different products. Personally, I try to buy most of my products packaging free, but sometimes there's not a packaging free option, and so then you've got to decide, do you really need it, or if you are going to get it, make sure that you think about it, and that's where we've got down here, buy recyclable. Look at it and make sure that it is recyclable, because here's a couple of examples for you. So we've got this one here which has had some little baking tart things in it. Now if you look at this, it's plastic, really looks just like this plastic. This has no number on it, so therefore this can't be recycled because we don't even know what the number is. So this one goes straight into the rubbish bin, and the best way to think about it is, if in doubt, or if there's no number on it, then throw it into the rubbish bin. If in doubt, don't put it in the recycling bin. This one here though, this is a great option because it's made by Flight Plastics. It's made from recycled PET in New Zealand, so it's number 1. It's made from recycled plastic in New Zealand. So this has already been recycled and then it's been reused, and then again it can go in the recycling bin, go back to Flight Plastics and become another container again. So this is a good option. Another one is this little meat tray. Now again, there's been a few councils who have had issues with the meat trays because there's some brands that don't have numbers on them, so therefore they're in the same classification as this. But this one has quite clearly got number 1 on it. It also says rinse and recycle. But they do have problems with the meat trays. It needs to be clean. If there's any meat juice or anything left in here, or even if it had I've seen people use the same sort of thing for slices and different foods. If there's any food contamination in this container, it makes it contaminated. It's not able to be recycled. So it must be clean. Another thing to sort of be aware of is that there are some products that look like plastic, are plastic, but have no number, or again can't be recycled. And this is another one that we picked up today. It's got a sleeve on it. It's got no number on the bottom of it. Might have a number if I took the sleeve off, but ideally I just wouldn't buy this product because I don't even know if it can be recycled. So again, for me, if it's not in a recyclable packaging, I will avoid it completely. Another sort of thing to keep an eye out for as well is the likes of this package, which is soft plastic. Now on the back of here it says recyclable packaging. On the front it says recyclable packaging. It's number 5. So number 5, as I understand, is one of the more it's becoming more desirable because they're looking at good solutions for 5. But this can't go in any recycle bin in New Zealand. As a soft plastic, it can only go into soft plastic recycling, which is only available in a few places at the current time, and so therefore it's actually not recyclable unless it's put into soft plastic recycling. So you can't put this in any recycling bin, even though it says please recycle on there and it's got a number 5. Another common product, and I actually had a woman in my workshop the other day, is the Tetra Pak, or the UHT, or they call it multi-layered cardboard, plastic lined cardboard, anything you like that. These sort of boxes here, the lady said to me, I've been buying these because they're cardboard so I can recycle them. But it turns out that these sort of products aren't recyclable. There might be some countries who are recycling them. In New Zealand, not really. There's only a few councils who take them, but most of them don't, purely because they are multi-layered products. So I've cut one in half so you can have a wee look. It looks like cardboard, has a layer of foil and then a layer of plastic. So this is like basically a plastic lined cardboard. If it's, and the easiest way to determine that is if it looks like cardboard but has liquid inside it, it's not recyclable, or not easily recyclable. So it's real tricky, because it can be a bit of a minefield out there, because I mean I've just gone through just a few products, but the problem that we've got with recycling around the country is that we've got so many different products. They're not made really, there's no real standards. And what I would like to see is, and I know the WasteMINZ, the report came up with the same sort of thing, is seeing manufacturers be more responsible for what they're putting their products in, so that they are in a recyclable product. So at the moment, some councils will take 1 to 7s. Most councils that I work for these days take 1s and 2s. They might bring 5s in if the solution becomes available, but most important when you're shopping is to actually just look for buying products that are recyclable, and that can go for all sorts of things. Yogurt, even the meat trays, your bottles that you're buying, if it doesn't have a number on it, it goes in the rubbish bin, so it's not recyclable. So make sure, main points, check your council website. Every council has the relevant information on what can and can't be recycled in your area, and it can change from area to area. Buy recyclable, make sure that you are buying products that have the number and that they're clear. I mean, even this one here, I struggled. This is actually a Sprite bottle. We've taken the little sleeve off, the ring off, and then we looked at the bottom, there's no number. But it turns out that it's actually not really easy to see, but it's just on the bottom here. So make sure that it's recyclable before you buy it even. Prepare it properly. So, whoops, no contaminated recycling. It must be clean. Any containers, these water bottles, anything that's going in the recycling bin must be clean, including things like pizza boxes. No pizza, no food scraps. It's got to be clean. And yeah, and then just making sure you prepare it properly by taking off any plastic sleeves that are on there so that the bottle can be recycled easily, lids, neck rings, all of that, and then we'll end up with having a good solid amount of product that can be recycled, instead of that high quantity of I think it was 41% of recyclables going to landfill, mostly because of the confusion, the laziness, and just people not cleaning them out properly. So hopefully that clarifies some of your recycling questions. It's great to see some work like that coming out from WasteMINZ. And if you've got any other questions, feel free to post them below, or go to your local council and ask them what you can and can't recycle. There's always somebody there who can fill you in. So I'll wrap it up there. Good luck with your recycling, and make sure next time you're shopping, you're out there thinking smart.